Hello everybody and welcome back to lyamoni. Today we're going to be talking about the rebranding trend and my issue with these type of videos. Now, if you spend any time on the internet, I'm sure you have seen the whole rebrand yourself trends all over social media, literally everywhere. And also, if you've spent a lot of time on the internet prior to this, you would know that this is not a new phenomena. They actually have been there for a while, but they just changed the name for it. In their core, however, they're still the same thing. And basically, these are the videos that we grew up watching, the glow up videos that we grew up watching. Now, I will not get into how extremely problematic this term is because that's a whole video in itself, but I do think that they're essentially the same exact videos we grew up watching when we were younger, which are the glow up videos. I think that I do want to give a quick disclaimer. I do think that it's extremely normal for us as humans to obsess to some degree over this specific subject. Humans crave change, they crave improvement, and that's an acceptance, of course, and that's extremely normal. I just do not think that the self-improvement part is the thing that is incorrect, but rather what we choose to improve on and why. And as someone who's grown up watching these videos like a lot, let me tell you, a lot, okay? I always used to get the ick, but I never understood why. But as I've gotten older and become a little bit more aware of everything in life and systems and everything, I've grown to understand what was truly upsetting me, and we're going to be talking about it in this video. One of the biggest issues that I have with glow up videos is that they're essentially extremely rooted in consumerism and appearance confirmation, especially for women, okay? If you've watched these videos before, you would know that they're extremely consumerist in nature. The entire time, the influencers who make these videos are essentially trying to convince you to purchase the products to change yourself. If you want to glow up, you need a 10-step skincare routine. You need a wardrobe. You need to have a new hobby. There's always products and something that you need to purchase in order to glow up. When I was younger, I used to think that there's no way I could glow up because I cannot afford something that expensive. Because whenever I would look at the list of things I needed to purchase for that, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I can do this transformation. And I feel like with TikTok, it only has gotten worse because with short form content, there's always new things that you need to purchase, new things that you absolutely need to have, and it just gets worse and worse. And honestly, it has gotten so exhausting to be online nowadays because there's always something that I need to purchase. I feel the need to buy products upon products and to appear as we should or how everyone else thinks we should, and it's essentially super exhausting. Mind you, vast majority of these products do absolutely nothing, but I do think it's like a form of temporary relief that you feel like you're doing something that is considered, productive or good. And so it feels a little bit like soothing, right? Now, again, I do want to say this. There is nothing wrong with wanting to take care of yourself physically. This video is no way, shape, or form advocating against that. But do you really glow up after you've done a rigorous night and morning routine? Yeah, probably not, right? Because in their core, these videos are extremely shallow. They heavily hone on appearances and everything pertaining to that. It's almost as if they're telling people that they should think of self-improvement as something only externally motivated. It's super problematic because they create so many fucking insecurities, especially when their target audience are younger teens who are already insecure and looking for ways to feel some form of acceptance in their lives. Much of the messaging behind these videos is that you won't glow up without being beautiful or having an appearance that conforms to specific beauty standards and fashion trends, usually very Eurocentric beauty standards. And of course, you need XYZ product in order to achieve that. It also creates a culture in which there is a right or wrong way to look, a right or wrong way to live. Instead of creating culture that promotes self-acceptance, instead it creates a culture of constant things that you need to change about yourself. And of course, it's a never-ending loop. It creates a culture where we feel the constant need to grow, but you will never be enough as a person. There's always something that you need to change. Now, To some degree, that is correct. It is a lifelong process of working on yourself, but it also creates a constant negative feedback loop. You can never be satisfied or happy or content with your life. It creates essentially a state of constant dissatisfaction with the self, which, by the way, is great for companies because they can make so much money off of that. I was reading a book, not really related to this in any way, shape, or form, but they were talking about how companies back in the day would say that they had created home appliances and houses to last for only 20 years so that you would purchase more later on. So essentially, this is something that companies do in order to continue to make us purchase things. And I'm sure we have all noticed how the quality of things have gone down over the years. It's because they want you to continue purchasing things. As Andrew Gars, who's an economic philosopher, puts it, companies create what he calls organized creation of dissatisfaction. There's always something wrong that you need to change, and there's always products that will help fix that. The majority of these issues are essentially symptoms of the culture created by said companies in order to sell you things. It's basically a loop that we essentially get stuck in. It's insane. To me, glow up or rebranding videos often perpetuates these ideals as the norm. It pushes people to conform to capitalist culture that simply only benefit company owners, but instead puts everyone else in a constant struggle to try to improve something that was never really wrong. Contentment is never the goal, because why be content when you can always have more? Another major issue I hate about these type of videos is they tend to be overly unrealistic. As someone born and raised in the global south, I always feel like these videos tend to be a little bit tone deaf. They tend to over exaggerate how much a person can achieve by themselves. They often ignore systematic oppression that prevents people from achieving what they want. It perpetuates neoliberal talking points about how having the right mentality is going to basically push you towards the life you want, as if having the right mentality is going to magically fix my country from systematic oppression and foreign intervention, and we all live great lives. If it's that simple, it would have been done, okay? When I watch these videos, I think I've stumbled upon only one video where the creator actually addresses and mentions how there are systematic oppression that could set you back on achieving things that you want to do. And goddamn, it was so fucking refreshing. Like, salute to that woman. I don't have that video, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, if you've watched this, if you went down that rabbit hole of watching these rebranding glow up videos, you would know. You might have stumbled upon it, and I just have to say, extremely refreshing. I love that lady. Thank you so much. The question is, why are we obsessed with this type of content? I think mainly we use it as short-term relief. Watching these type of videos make you feel like you're doing something about it, right? And I kind of mentioned that earlier. It can be good for motivation, though I do personally believe that this is very short-term motivation that doesn't actually resolve any real issues. But if you feel powerless and helpless, these type of videos can help elevate that, even just for a little bit. I also think people tend to live vicariously through these videos. They're aware that they're not feasible, but watching other people do it feels good, right? So it's, like I said, a form of temporary relief. I tend to discuss glowing up like it's a thing that takes a short amount of time to happen. Like, glow up for the New Year's. And that video is posted on November as if it takes 2 months in order to glow up. Or, fundamentally change your routine and habits. Like, guys, that shit takes years, okay? And I mean, I've been working on my habits for the past 2 years, and I've barely scratched the surface of the amount of change I actually want to do to my routine and habits. Like, you can't unlearn everything that you've learned over the course of your life and build new habits within a few months, okay? It's going to take years. And this is another major point I wish to discuss, is that we as society are not necessarily patient enough to do those things. We feel the need to constantly do everything fast and immediately, but these things take time, and it takes a lot of experience and going through different things in order to realize what you actually truly want from your life and how you want your routine to look like. And so it's not a short process, but we as a society no longer feel like we have the patience for it. Now, this is probably a symptom of short form content and constant dopamine hits, probably. But yeah, it's not something that you can just do immediately. It's something that's going to take a lot of time. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I really hate how much it hones in on very shallow topics such as appearance, and also it perpetuates a lot of neoliberalist, consumerist ideologies that I don't necessarily think helps people. And what it ends up doing is just putting a bandage over an open wound where it doesn't really help people improve themselves, but instead fall into this constant constant state of motivation to do something about it, and then when they fail to do so, they feel like horrible and shitty about themselves. So it actually pushes people further into depression rather than help them get out of it. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, this isn't that deep, it's just a glow up video, like why are you taking it so seriously? But I do think that these things are serious to some degree. I think that when we belittle things like that, it tends to help consumers more than anything. But extremely important to address how these videos can affect people, especially girls when they're younger and they don't really understand things quite well. It tends to create a culture where they make them feel as if things can be solved but really simply, hey, people are gonna like you better just because you look better. And again, it just creates a culture of appearance confirmation that essentially doesn't help people, especially when you are from a different culture, different reality. Like I said, I'm from a third world country. It kind of creates very Eurocentric ideal. So yeah, I've always felt like these videos tend to be counterproductive because of that, but also because I think a lot of people are craving kind of changing themselves and changing their personality. But a lot of times people think that this thing happens fast. It's like when a lot of people wanted to do the, grandpa eclectic trend, and they were trying to gather these trinkets really quickly, and they would buy these things off of Shein and Temu, etc. But your grandpa has these trinkets and all of these things because he's lived a long life, okay? And he's gathered these things over the course of the year. So it's kind of hard to kind of replicate that, because we as a society feel like we need to do things quickly. We as a culture feel like we need to do things quickly. We need to grow. We need to get up and do another thing and another thing and another thing. So we feel like this constant state of dissatisfaction where even our personality and our habits and the things that we need to work on as people needs to happen quickly. But the truth is this is a lifelong thing that you are going to have to do for the rest of your life. Imagine if you do all of that work within 1 or 2 years and then you have nothing to do for the rest of your life. And also, it's not going to be feasible, because I do believe that habits that you have learned and kind of things that you have learned as a kid are going to take years and years or years of unlearning for it to actually stick with you. So even that, you can't change your personality as quickly as a lot of people make it out to be. And so when people don't do it as quickly, they feel like failures and they feel upset. So it tends to fall back into the same, basically, negative feedback loop. Okay? Well, yeah, I think I've wrapped about the subject enough. Let me know what you think of these type of videos down below. Please like and subscribe. It really helps. And as usual, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.